course, the ultimatum given by the federal government is, on the one hand, a concern. And coming down to Akwa Ibom State, there have also been those hush-hush conversations for Akwa Ibom workers also embark on industrial action if the state government does not implement the 80,000 naira new minimum wage. Joining us live is Paulinus Ntah, the publisher of Sensor newspaper, of course himself a journalist and public affairs analyst. Good morning, Paulinus. Welcome to Rise and Shine. Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Yes, good morning, Paulinus. Welcome to Rise and Shine.
Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Speaker.
How are you today?
Yeah, I'm good, and you?
We're doing okay. Good to have you join us this morning.
Yeah.
All right, so let's quickly, I know you're pressed for time this morning. Let's go straight to the ultimatum issued by the NLC to the Nigerian federal government. December 1st is the deadline that has been given. What is your reaction in the possibility of the federal government not implementing the new minimum wage? We are going to possibly see another industrial action.
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Thanks.
Okay, we also need your help. We can hear our darling baby's voice, on air too. So maybe that would help. We are going to, the strike threat that the NLC has put forward to the federal government with regards to implementing minimum wage. What are your thoughts about this?
Hello?
Okay, I don't know
I think
what
we'll have to end the call and try to connect.
Yeah,
Your audio is poor. The audio is poor.
We'll try to reconnect with Paulinus Ntah and see how we can have that particular conversation with him in a moment. But, of course, we see that the NLC has issued an ultimatum to state governments to implement new minimum wage by December 1st. That's the benchmark that has been given. We've seen a lot of, state governments set up committees, to work out a plan to actually implement, and we've seen a lot of promises made by several, state governments. And average states literally has added something to what the president, appended as minimum wage going forward. But the question now remains, when is payments going to kickstart? And remember that the president, in the signing of that bill into law is the fact that the payment is going to start from July. So any payment of 70,000 naira as minimum wage, these several state governments do owe their workers, a backlog. Are they going to be willing, to pay this backlog of minimum wage? And everybody who has said 80,000, 85,000, 82,000, I've seen 72,500, different things being implemented by different states. Are we going to be ready to actually pay that? It's a very, very serious issue. But we see that Joe Ajero, who is the NLC president, did actually release a communique where he expressed strong dissatisfaction with the delays from certain states in implementing the 2024 Minimum Wage Act. So let's try to see if Paulinus Ntah can hear us again. Mr. Ntah, are you able to hear us this morning? Is it better now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Yeah. What is the question?
Okay, so we want to take your reaction to NLC's communique with regards to the fact that December 1st is the deadline for state governments to implement payment of minimum wage.
Okay, they've given a deadline of tax.
December 1st.
Okay, well, that's not outrageous anyway. It's not outrageous. I think it's within the bounds of the law to give such a ultimatum because, of course, you agree with me that a lot of state governors are reluctant, to pay this. So if they can do that, what I would advise is that it should not, breach peace. It should not breach public conduct. And of course, the smooth running of governance. But for them to issue such an ultimatum, I think it's not out of place. It is not out of place, but it should be within the ambience of the law. It should not distract, the smooth running of the government. It should not breach law and order, because there are quite a lot of governors who are reluctant, who would ordinarily not want to pay that, that obey that directive from federal government. So if they have given it within in the true spirit of comradeship, if they give that ultimatum in the true spirit of citizenship, I think they are not out of place. It is not outrageous, in my opinion.
So he's saying that a lot of state governors are not willing to comply with this. We have actually seen a lot of state governors and state governments promise to pay this minimum wage, and a lot more persons have added to what they intend to pay. For instance, Akwa Ibom State has promised to pay 80,000 naira as minimum wage. Lagos State stands at 85. Several other states, at least 19 of them, are on board. Do you really think this is about, you know, the unwillingness of these governors to pay, or they're still sorting out their financials to be able to meet up with this new financial responsibility?
Yeah, I don't think it is done in a good spirit of trying to sort out their finances or whatever. Now, if you consider the functions, the constitutional, the statutory roles of civil service in governance, you would agree with me that even if it is 300,000 naira minimum wage is not much for a civil servant. Let us not forget that the civil service is the engine room of governance. So if the people that are manning the engine room of governance are promised to be paid 80,000 as minimum, consider the price of food, consider inflation, consider other factors that, you know, that drag back Nigerian economy. So it is not outrageous. So state governors, a lot of them would not ordinarily want to pay that amount, which most Nigerians notice. So I don't subscribe to that philosophy or the idea that they are trying to sort out finances. Does that affect the political state office holders' remuneration? It does not.
But
it does not affect the allowances, the interest of public office holders. So there should not be a question of trying to sort out. The federal government knew the allocations that go to the state government before they pronounced it, before they accepted that amount.
Now,
so it is I don't think it is in good place.
State allocations is different from the budgets that you know, these state governments are running on. But some quarters are explaining the fact that this new minimum wage was not covered in the budgetary allocation for these states, you know, the current budget that they're currently running on. So apart from like looking into allocation, there is, you know, percentage across board that they've decided to work in. Don't you think that might be one of the things that is locking in, you know, the state government? And let us also consider this. That's a big question. Has the federal government started paying its own workers this new minimum wage?
I think I overheard. I am not, in as much as I am not a staff of the federal government employed, but I think I have said federal government workers something that they have received. I cannot swear to that anymore. I just hear at the passing, you know, glance. The what I want to read, the what I want to stress is that, well, I know there is differences between the internally generated revenue of states. It's not even, it's not equal. And of course, the policy of eating the applications based on what you contribute anyway, that can also be a factor. But it shouldn't in any way affect the payment of at least 70,000 minimum wage to civil servants. There's no sincere governor that will say that he does not, the state cannot generate. Let us assume it is generated by the state. Let's assume that. So they should not allow it to be overheated, because once other states begin to pay, and some, for whatever reason they think they have, refuse to pay or cannot pay, that can generate some bad blood in the system. And before you know it, another round of strike. So I think they should do whatever they can to comply with that directive. Okay. It has become a law anyway. It's been passed a law, so it's a law.
All right, let's quickly just look at Akwa Ibom State. Within the course of last week, you know, there have been on-the-ground requests and calls for Akwa Ibom State civil servants to also embark on a nation, you know, on a statewide industrial action, because the state government is yet to implement, you know, the 80,000 naira new minimum wage. Yesterday, the governor himself, Pastor Moino, PhD, talked about the fact that there are modalities, there are criteria, there are things that the state government intends to do, such as verification and making sure to know the exact numbers of people that are on the payroll of the Akwa Ibom State Civil Service employee before we can talk about the implementation of the 80,000 naira new minimum wage. But this is not sitting well with, some sections of the society when it comes to the 80,000 naira minimum wage. What would be your reaction to this?
Well, talking about verification exercises and auditing and all of that, it's a regular routine of the civil service. It is something that the state government can do in 2-3 days if they are serious, if they are sincere, if they want to do it in good spirit. Now, we have data. We have every strict information about every civil servant that works in the state. For instance, the Local Government Service Commission. If the state government calls for a strict supply of the records of existing civil servants as of last month or even this month, it is not something that will take more than a day. So if they are really serious about it, let it not be like a way of what people would say delay tactics or whatever. I know so well that if the state government wants to verify active or civil servants who are alive, and see working, they can do that in 2 days if they are serious about it. So let them not use it like a delay tactics or a thing that will make civil servants feel they are being, they are being victimized or whatever. It is not supposed to be an issue. That's not supposed to be an issue. It's a thing they can do in 2-3 days across the local government. They segment it. This is computer age. So the question of going around to one local government area in different areas, they want to take another 2-3 months. That can take 2-3 months if they want to do at the regular pace they do. So they should expedite action. They should use computers. This is a digital age. So they should not delay any longer. Let it be that the governor say 1 month. They have set up a committee to look into it and bring modalities for the payment within 1 month. Let him work his talk. Let it be that this November, it is implemented. It's not to was a function of consultant expert, consultant accountant that will take into to audit local government account, but right from the time of Governor Emmanuel. What are their accounts? What are their work? Are they not experts? They are forensic experts, forensic auditors. These are people that can audit civil servants in 2, 3, 4 days. If they are serious, if it is in good intention, they can do that.
These are really serious concerns. We know that, the governor of Akwa Ibom State has put forward his foot as a very workers-friendly governor. And we do hope that the people that are mining the SERP systems beneath him, do not become the problem of that particular disposition of the governor. But before we let you go, I would like for you to just, speak to the minds of, state government workers, as it were, and also at the national level. Yes, it's within the what would I call it, the work rights of these different organizations to use strike actions to try to communicate to their employers. But what would be your specific stand this morning, both at the national and the state level? Do we really need to go on a strike, or we can find a way to dialogue this out with both the state and national level?
Going on strike is not always the best. Although it's always a faster approach, but it's not always the best in the interest of the society at large. But in the same way, the government should not present themselves to the civil servants as if they are insensitive. It is the government is insensitive that makes them go on strike. They don't enjoy going on strike. But when they perceive, whether they are right or wrong, when they perceive that the government is insensitive to their problem, they will go on strike. When they think they have asked more than once or twice or thrice without reply, without positive response, I think they will believe that the best option is to go on strike. But in my opinion, if you ask me, I would advise that they don't strike now. You can see how the economy is. The economy is not only bad, the economy has collapsed. So if you introduce another strike action by civil servants, of course, we know where we will find ourselves. We know the mess Nigerians will find ourselves. So I appeal they should not go on strike. They should keep, but at the same time, I appeal to the government to that action, fast-track this process, simplify the process, live with democratic bottlenecks. Most of these civil servants see it as victimization. It's long. How many months now? Do whatever they can do to expedite action, fast track the process, simplify it, and pay these people. Let them feel they are loved. Let them feel that they are cared for. Let them feel that the government is sensitive to their plight. That's my opinion. That's my take.
It's important that both the state government and federal government are sensitive to the plight of its workers. Thank you so much, Pauline Lusunta, for giving your voice to this minimum wage conversation. Do have a great day.
Thank you for having me. Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, it's good to know that, these things are in perspective and we follow through as, the president has already signed into law July 29 with regards to, the minimum wage. And we also know that the federal government began paying the new minimum wage in September. The federal government started its own implementation of the 70,000 naira new minimum wage September. Now, of course, it moved from 30,000 naira to 70,000 naira. That's a 133 percentile increase for the minimum wage. So it is important to know that it is state governments that are really, really behind on the payment of this new minimum wage, as the federal government has already gone ahead to start its implementation. Also, we've seen youth corps members cry out as to when they're going to start receiving their 77,000 naira, wage, as was promised after the president gave accent to 70,000 naira as the new minimum wage. So there's a lot of concerns, and just as the NLC has given state governments December 1st, are they going to follow through? Are they going to honor that ultimatum, or they're going to wait to see what the NLC can actually do? That's a big question. We do hope that we don't see any strike action coming just towards the end of this year. We can just get by the year, as civilly as possible. But that's where we'll put a pause to the stories. We'll take a quick breather. When we return, there's still more segments and stories lined up for you on Rise and Shine this Monday morning. Stay with us.
Rise and shine.